Welcome to our latest episode where we explore how artificial intelligence is transforming critical thinking as technology evolves. AI tools are now assisting individuals in analyzing information, evaluating arguments, and enhancing decision-making process through personalized suggestions. From fact-checking tools to systems that support structured debates, the boundary between human reasoning and machine assistant is becoming increasingly blurred. In this episode, we'll dive into the benefits of AI, like streamlining problem solving and offering diverse perspectives, and address concerns around over-reliance, ethics, and the fear of AI undermining human reasoning skills. We'll also discuss real-world tools used by students, educators, and professionals such as AI-driven research assistants and arguments mapping platform, and how these innovations are helping individuals refine their analytic abilities. We'll also invite in three insightful guests, two students from University 11 Maret and one lecturer from English department at the same university. Together, we'll discuss their perspectives on AI role in both academic and professional context. The students will share experience using AI tools to enhance their critical thinking in coursework and project, while the lecturer will weigh in on the implications for teaching analytic skills in an age where technology increasingly shapes how we engage with the critical ideas.
The survey, capturing responses from over 20 students across various faculties, provides a quantitative data. The data provide how students integrate artificial intelligence or AI into their academic lives. Responses highlight percentages, frequencies, and other numeric trends, giving an obvious picture of AI impact, especially on student learning. Based on the data, we can conclude that all of the participants are aware of AI, with approximately the majority of them using it in their studies. Popular tools include ChatGPT, Grammarly, Philbot, and other platforms supporting grammar, time management, and technical. Most of the respondents use AI frequently for academic purposes, especially for tasks like essays, presentations, and journal writing. The remaining 40% use it on a more occasional basis, often for specific high-impact assignments. 3/4 of students highlight time saving as the main benefit. Additional benefits include a health improvement in understanding complex material and 30% reduction in academic stress, underscoring the role of AI in simplifying research and enhancing productivity. Over than half of respondents expressed concern over potential of reliance on AI, which they believe could lower their critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Moreover, 40% of the respondents worry about potential impact on academic integrity, citing risk of decreased work and less personal learning. Less than half of students admit to depending heavily on AI for their assignments. This reliance sometimes results in creative blocks, with 35% feeling that AI limits their engagement and originality in their work. Additionally, a half of students report that some faculty members have set clear limitations on AI use, while less than 40% know it or lack specific guidelines, indicating a various approach across departments. Although 80% of students trust AI, 70% believe it's essential to verify AI-generated work to maintain accuracy and credibility. Popular strategies to balance AI use include traditional study methods used by 65%, as well as consulting peers and actively participating in discussions noted by 60%. With AI's presence increasing, 85% of students feel the need to build skills in critical thinking, digital literacy, and ethicism. Although AI can be a powerful educational tool, the majority of the respondents emphasize the importance of evaluating and expanding upon AI-generated insights independently. In conclusion, the survey demonstrates both the enthusiasm and caution students feel about AI in academics. While approximately 70% find AI beneficial for efficiency, a significant 60% express concern over its possible drawbacks, including dependency. As AI continues to shape education, balancing its use remains critical, ensuring it complements rather than replacing personal efforts and integrated into academic development.
So here is one of our respondents in a survey that we have made about the AI and critical thinking. So hello Shani, thank you so much for taking the time with me today, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on how AI is influencing your academic life. To start off, can you tell me a little bit about what do you think the use of AI in your life?
Okay, I think the use of AI in my life is not very significant because I haven't really used AI that much in my life, and especially in my academic life. For like some moments, I use AI only for like grammar checking or like for AI detector, something like that, but it's not really significant in my life.
Okay, that's interesting. It sounds like AI has a unique place in your academic experiences. Building on that, could you share some specific ways you feel AI has positively or even negatively impacted your studies? Maybe there are some advantages you've noticed or even some drawbacks.
Okay, for the positive impact, I think AI has improved all of my grammar skills. Like for example, when you want to like check the grammars, sometimes I use AI to do them. But negatively, I don't think it has affected negatively in my life because I haven't really used it that much for any other function other than grammar checking or like AI detector checking. So negatively, I don't think I have any, but for positively, I think it has improved my writing skills.
Right, those are some valuable insights. Hearing about both the benefits and challenges makes me wonder, do you ever worry about becoming too reliant on AI for your academic work? If so, could you please explain why that's a concern for you?
Okay, I don't think I will be in the future reliable or like relying too much on AI because I don't think it is very significant right now. So I don't think that it will be in the future. But I think it kind of like contributes to how I perceive my grammar skill, which is sometimes when I use AI for my grammar checking, it doesn't really change that much. So I don't think that I will be reliable to AI.
Wow, that's very cool to not get relied on AI. Speaking of that, what are some strategies you use to keep that in your studies? Like, are there particular methods or your routines to follow?
I think methods or routine to follow is that you need to be able to believe in what your mind tells you to do. I don't think that AI has no feelings, so everything, especially we're in English literature department, everything has to come from your mind, your brain, something like that. You have feelings, you write something that you want to write with feelings, with brain, something like that. But AI has no feelings, so it's kind of like the strategy is that to think that AI has no feelings. So you have to remember that. That's a method that I have kept in mind every time I want to like use AI in my academic life. Is that the essential of being an English literature student is that you need to rely on your heart and your brain. So I think that's kind of like one of the strategy that I use to prevent myself to use it.
Wow, that's a great point, and I think it resonates with a lot of students who are also navigating the shift. And thanks again for sharing your thoughts and experiences today. It's been so insightful to hear your perspective on AI in your academics. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, in conclusion, for our first respondent interviews, she stated that AI has so significantly impacted her academic life because she primarily used it for small tasks like grammar check or AI detection, which have refined her writing. But beyond that, she doesn't rely on it heavily. Positively, it's improved her grammar and overall writing clarity by catching mistakes that she might miss on her own, though she hasn't observed any negative impact since she keeps her use minimal. She's also not concerned about becoming overly dependent on AI in the future, as it favors to trust our own skill and intuition. Especially in a field like English literature student, where personal expression and creativity matter deeply, she believes that idea and emotions bring to her work are irreplaceable by AI. So, while she finds AI to be a useful tool, she keeps it in balance by focusing on her own goals and stays mindful of the value that comes fortuning with experience.
So here we have one of our respondents survey AI and critical thinking. Could you please introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, everyone watching. My name is Arthur Humaira. I'm student in English Department of Faculty of Humanities in University of 11 Maret.
Hello Arthur. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. Your viewpoints on how AI is influencing academic life will be greatly appreciated. Okay, to start our interview, could you please explain in brief how you see AI being used in your studies?
AI being used in my studies. Well, I see it basically as a tool where it has both positive and negative effects on my studies, and more often than not, it usually tends to be have more negative effect on me when using it in my studies. But yeah, for now, I can say that it's an effective tool to helping me ease my way through my studies in university.
Okay, that's amazing. So AI seems to have an especially significant role in your educational journey. Adding to that, could you describe on some specific ways in which AI has benefit on your academic works? Maybe you've noticed some advantages or maybe some disadvantages. Please tell us.
Well, because I'm a literature student, which my work is basically revolve around papers and writing papers and reading papers. And regarding that, when using an AI, I tend to use it as a way of help me of getting any ideas when writing my papers, and it basically becomes like what can I say a friend for me to have a conversation to have we then discuss towards each other about what kind of ideas should I make in my papers. And AI is like your super helpful friend where he have all the solution it can give you anytime, any place in every day. And basically that is the way I see of using an AI in my study. Basically it really give me so much more free time when doing my assignments, and it helps save me a lot of time when doing assignments in my studies.
So it more give you some advantages, right? It's really enhanced perspective to hear about that. But do you ever have concern about relying too much on AI for your academic work? If yes, could you explain it on why you think that?
Yes, regarding the heavy reliance on AI, well, as a student in the context of having academic life, we are in the situation we are pushed to be more creative on explaining and writing our ideas, especially in our papers. Now, because of my overabundance in AI, most of the time I tend to have my creative side of things getting turned off, where I become more and more reliant on the thinking of AI and not based on my own thinking, which really counter arguments the purpose of my study, which is to actually expand my knowledge, expand my ideas as a person. But because all of it are being substitutes towards the thinking of the AI, it's really decrease my creative thinking and my competence as a student to have my own ideas and to create my own concepts. And because of it, I think that is the negative effects of AI that are really affecting me the most in this different time of my studies.
Okay, I can certainly see how that may be worry, right? So, having said that, what methods do you take to keep your studies balanced? Do you find that certain practices or habits are helpful?
Certain habits or certain methods
Yeah, that can balance your studies.
can balance your studies when using AI.
Yeah.
Alright. So, uh, in recent times, perhaps a couple of months back, I have been using this method of. I didn't really clearly know its name when I say 30-70 work, where when usually when I'm doing my assignments is 50-50 of my own ideas and then 50% from AI. But now that I have seen that it affects on my decreasing my quality of creativity that comes from my own concepts. I'm now making the portion of the AI is much more smaller, and which I decrease it to perhaps maximal 30% of an AI participations in my works, and then I try to at least 70% of my work is based on my own thinking, based on my own idea, based on my own creation. So it's a method of from me that I try to not in the future not to be heavily relied on AI as a tool of doing my assignments.
Alright, this seems like a good action.
Thank
As we think about the future of learning, I love to hear your thoughts on which skill or knowledge might be most valuable for students, especially with AI becoming more integrated into academics. What do you think we should focus on to prepare effectively?
The skills that I think is the one that students need to prepare the most is the skill of paraphrasing, where students learn how to make their own words when receiving an idea concept of AI, but not heavily rely 100% on the words from AI. Try to be more self-sufficient on changing the words from AI into your own words, into your own perspective, into your own understanding from the material of the AI, so it can be much more personal, much more authentic idea on your own side of doing your assignments, your papers, or exams, etc. So it really, when you have the skill of paraphrasing things from AI into your own work, you can then be, I can say, a survivor in this era of AI taking hold of everything that students try to work, and that's why I think for the future of your own safety and your own competence, try to have paraphrasing skills to the max.
Okay, that will be last question. I think it will resonate with a lot of students also adapting to this shift. Okay, thanks again for sharing your insight today. It's been so valuable to hear your perspective on AI in your academy.
Thank you for having me.
Move to the second R's content. He sees AI as a tool with a both positive and negative impacts on studies. While it can make university work easier and more effective, the negative impacts sometimes outweigh the positive. As a literature student, he works extensively with writing and research, and AI has become a helpful friend, which are providing ideas, acting as a brainstorming partner, and saving him significant time on assignments. However, he is also conscious about becoming overly dependent on AI. He feels that relying too heavily on it has started to diminish his credibility and personal contribution with ideas, which contradicts his goal of expanding his knowledge and developing original thoughts. To balance his studies, he now limits AI use about 30% of his work, ensuring 70% remains his own original idea. He believes that as AI becomes more integrated into academic, students must strengthen their paraphrasing skills, which is learning to interpret AI-generated ideas in a way that reflects their own understanding and perspective. By mastering this skill, students can remain competitive and produce authentic, personalized work despite AI's growing influence.
So here we have an expert to discuss about our result on our survey that we made talking about AI and critical thinking. Before we start our interview, can you please introduce yourself to the audience there?
Hi, my name is Taufik Al Mahmoud. So I'm the lecturer of English department, and my major is on cultural studies, especially American cultural studies, globalization, and local studies. In the case of I also affiliated with the Javanese studies of Javanology. So I think that's introduction.
Okay, thank you for introducing yourself, sir. We really appreciate for your sharing your precious time with us today.
Sure.
Next, we're going to explain a brief information regarding our survey results. So, according to the survey that we have conducted, we came in a conclusion that a lot of students are using AI for helping them doing their tasks, homeworks, and also for better understanding on college materials. On the other hand, most of them are quite afraid to rely on that too much. But some of them aren't, because they often use AI in their academic life. So, to start our interview, could you please elaborate the use of AI for teaching from your point of view as a lecturer? And I'm very excited to hear your thoughts on how AI is shaping academic life. How has AI influenced the way you teach students? Do you incorporate AI tools in your curriculum, or do you see them as a challenge to traditional teaching methods?
So I think it is unavoidable that the advancement of technology is part of our life, right? That, I mean, dating back, for example, in the 1990s, for example, when I was in high school, it was pretty new that computer is part of our, life, and then especially in the academic, and it was gradually replacing the way we use typewriter. And then in 1998, for example, Google becoming part of our life in the way that before, of course, we need to access like a books and so on. There was also question when Google starts popular, and then it will also impact our academic life. So the introduction of computer, for example, there there's no issue of plagiarism because copy paste, it was not part of it. So but then copy and paste plagiarism, how many percentage that the idea being copied or paraphrased from certain previous work becoming matter. But I think the biggest issue is more about integrity, that actually the way that we express our idea and also in the learning process is the exercise of gaining information and then curating information, which one is used, and then analyzing. Technology is a tool, so we don't have to be afraid of it. But of course, the way that technology is always put our life into the easier way, as long as, for example, we use it in a responsible way. For example, by the coming of the AI, I'm not the one who's really afraid or anti-AI at the first place, because as generation who were born within more analog technology and then migrating to the introduction of the more computerized digital technology, I know how the shifting from, I don't claim that I'm really like a know-well on everything, but in my life experience, I know how the life shifting and tools, technology, including AI now, Google at the very beginning, computer, even like the previous, it's just like giving us tools in the way that we can do our job better, easier, or even faster, including AI. So the keyword is actually the integrity and also the transparency. Like when we do in academic tradition, when we quote or when we cite, we need to mention as a references, for example. So I think similar academic tradition need to be maintained within the new landscape of the use of technology. For example, like the AI, we know like AI ethics, for example, AI transparency, for example. Even if we do writing literature review based on we use AI to get the research gap, for example, why not? Then we need to mention that the process in your method or methodology in the writing, mentioning that it is part of the process, that we use AI, for example, to do the literature review or to find the research gap or whatever it is. So we just need to be transparent. That's the way that the academic tradition acknowledge, like where the information coming from. Yeah. So, and also we need to know like which AI that we use. For example, like the issue of the data bias. For example, the way that AI is also machine learning. We need to understand that the idea of power, who fit the information to the AI, that we need to also understand. For example, when AI is produced within like a certain community, that it might also, there is like political interest. So it might also negate a certain community, for example. So I think it's rely on like integrity, transparency, and then academic tradition. Yeah, but I think we can still do the academic tradition within the new AI landscape.
Okay, that was very insightful. Okay,
Hopefully.
so based on that, what are your thoughts on the ethical concerns surrounding students using AI for assignments?
So student using AI, let's put AI as a tool, not as the source of information. The way, for example, right now, because of the coming of AI, sometimes I also use like to consult with the AI, for example, like in Cloud, Perplexity, Pepperpal, or even ChatGPT, the very basic way, like to ask a certain information. But from my experience, like earlier understanding and earlier knowledge really matters. Because AI also right now, like within I don't know, like in the next 5 years or 10 years, it could be smarter than today because it is machine learning, right?
Yeah.
But right now, but still, if we don't have early knowledge, it will be so much different. The way, for example, the way we prompting and so on. So we can use AI, for example, to access what basic information we need to know. But then we can like still access the, what do you call it, the original sources or the main sources that actually AI suggests, because AI is a fact, the data feeding matters in the AI database. So normally they also mention we also need to find any further information. One example that maybe I can use is that, for example, I ever asked, could you please give like a brief information about Dutch colonial in Indonesia, for example, or the history of Indonesia. So they will have like a 1, 2, 3, 4, for example. Yeah. And then they ChatGPT like 1 year ago when I asked, maybe it's different right now because of the data development too, did not mention that Indonesia ever been the subject of British colonialization during Raffles, for example, in 1811 until 1816, I think. Because I know that, and then it is not included, and then I just try to make sense. So the AI only put like the general information that during the colonialization, mostly like what is recorded in the history is under the Dutch colonialization, while British colonialization in Indonesia was not really like really on the spotlight because of very short period in between Dutch colonialization. So because the data might be also quantitatively measured the way that short period is not included because of, but knowing this is also critical reading of the information. So I think critical beyond the integrity is also we need to develop our critical reading. Critical reading means like having early information. Having early information means also develop our reading habit. So accessing the main source. Yeah, most of the time it is easier to read Wikipedia, but because we just believe that Wikipedia give like it is like public edited, that's okay to get the general information about certain thing. But if it is not enough to claim us as nothing by only reading the surface information. So for today, I treat AI to give like a many surfacing information, but not give us enough insight if we would like to claim or talk about a thing in a deeper understanding. So for me, still accessing the main source or the main text of where actually the AI get the information is really important. Yeah. Or for example, critical reading, who actually do the data feeding to the AI.
Well, okay, I can see how your thoughts bring a thoughtful perspective to the ethics on AI excitement. As we consider students and young authors, what advice would you give them on using AI tools responsibly?
Yeah. So, well, we can use like this to get the general knowledge on a certain thing. But the way that if we want to have like the academic writing, for example, it is still better to find the main source or the source tag, even though we can ask through AI
Yeah.
too. So, for example, what is like the profound research on Indonesia during this period, and then we can maybe it's like suggesting many different names. This morning, for example, I asked Cloud about several research happening in Ngada, Flores. So Ngada is one regency, and I use like specifically in Bajawa, specifically about textile. So I got like a 3 researchers who ever published any research about Ngada or Bajawa in Flores. And then what I need to do further is that find the research of the 3 names mentioned. So for example. So I think that's the way that we can act responsibly as academicians. So we can use AI to access what kind of like general information. It is like what do you call it? Like put AI as the agency to give like a signposting if we are on the way. So this is like a signposting to go to the right, to go to the left. But of course, we cannot come to the destination without following the signpost. Yeah. So AI is just like putting like a lot of sign and information for sure. But we won't be reaching the destination without do the actual travel. Yeah. Even though we know like okay, to the right is gonna be Surabaya, but we won't be Surabaya just by reading the signpost. We need to do the travel itself. Yeah. Even though so this is like the way that technology is like give us information, like projecting information, but we cannot access or can claim ourselves like knowing things deeper without accessing through the main source.
Okay, so what an inspiring advice. Lastly, in your opinion, how will the relationship between AI and critical thinking evolve over the next year?
Yeah. So I think AI will play like a really like in many different aspects of life, even like the robotic. I mean, we cannot deny about it. I will give examples on the movie of Wall-E. I don't know if you ever watch it. Yeah, Wall-E is like it's like a small robot, but I think it's not only about the robotic, but then the question is where humans go. What happened with the humans by the coming of the technology. So even like a brain's body need exercise. So if we don't do the exercise, we will be like a depend on the AI. AI, what about if there is like a digital words doomsday? Or for example, when all the data gone because of, like a war, a cyber war, or even because of the sunstorm that affecting the internet technology on Earth, and then suddenly we cannot access all the data. If our brain is not exercised of doing all the analog thing, then we cannot continue life by being dependent on the technology. I think that's a critical question to the human being itself, the way that relationship with the human and AI. So from the movie Wall-E, I think the way that human that use everything moving with all the vehicle and so on, and making our body is not enough exercise, and then suddenly our leg is not functional because leg can only be functional if we use it. Yeah, so exercise. I mean, we believe on the exercise like keeping our body healthy, right? Yeah. But convenience sometimes win over healthy thing, like like tasty food, like a win over future health. Yeah. So I mean, sometimes we just love to have tasty food, but without considering that whether it is health or not. So let's think that way. That our relationship with the AI, the interdependence with the AI, may result into what do you call it, like a future disaster, because human brain and human body actually need exercise to continue life. So let's think about it. So yes, AI is our life. I mean, it's better for me like sometimes to travel to Jakarta using airplane or using train because I don't want to walk because it is ridiculous, right? But what happen if there is no train? But what happen if there is will be still happen? In what way? I mean, the idea of finding any alternative, actually this is like human capacity, like to search for technology and so on.
So that's very fascinating. So thank you for sharing your insights today. It's been so valuable to hear your perspective on AI in academics. Thank you, sir.
Sure, my pleasure to share.
Lastly, we have an interview with an expert, Mr. T. So in conclusion, he sees AI as a transformative force in academia, providing tools that simplify research, enhance efficiency, and guide students toward relevant resources. However, he stresses that its use must be grounded in ethical principles such as integrity and transparency. AI should complement rather than replace traditional academic practices, with students and educators acknowledging its role in academic processes such as conducting literature reviews or identifying research gaps by explicitly citing its contribution. Mr. T also underscores the importance of critical thinking and prior knowledge when engaging with AI, as its output often depend on the quality of the data it has been trained on, which can be biased or incomplete. He advises students to treat AI as a signpost pointing toward valuable resources while continuing to access primary sources and build deeper understanding through independent analysis. Looking to the future, Mr. T predicts AI will increasingly influence various phases of life, including education and robotics, but warns of the dangers of overdependence. Drawing parallels to the film Wall-E, he highlights the risk of reduced cognitive and psychical engagement when technology becomes overly dominant, leaving humans ill-equipped to function without it. To prevent this, he advocates a balanced approach where AI is embraced responsibly, ensuring that students and educators continue to develop critical thinking skills, cultivate reading habits, and engage in practices that strengthen human resilience. By doing so, he believes society can harness the benefits of AI while safeguarding the core intellectual and ethical values defining academic and personal growth.